hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we are super happy to have you here, and we just ask that you bring an open mind and heart to your listening experience and to be prepared to explore vantage points that I'm convinced will help shift or solidify your current understanding of the ultimate nature of reality. While listening, you'll be exposed to inspiring, empowering, and unifying perspectives that I'm highly confident will yield stellar results in your life if you opt to try them on for size. Also, at optimistic.tv, we have officially begun releasing the first few episodes of our new late-night style, consciousness-elevating video variety talk show, Optimistic, which features live visionary art, soul share interviews, retreat guests here at the Mystic Manor, as well as live musical performances. I'm also super excited to announce that we are currently making plans to release the rest of Season 1 on my personal favorite online streaming service. So stay tuned to optimistic.tv to follow the unfolding development of this exciting Optimistic expansion, as we'll be posting more info and release dates there soon. And in the meantime, be sure to check out, of course, the first few episodes at optimistic.tv as well.
All right, all you positive heads, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining Samantha and I today. We're so happy to be back with you. We have some fun, interesting, enlightening, maybe, we'll see, things to talk about. What do you think, Samantha?
Don't make any promises, Erica.
I know.
I can't promise anything. All I know is that I feel weird. I'm affected.
It's a weird time.
Yeah, I'm affected by the moon, especially the full moon. It was just my birthday last week, and now the full moon, in Leo times, I don't sleep well around the full moon. It definitely affects me. And it just brings up a lot. It's a very fiery time. And with everything going on in the world right now, it's a really energetic, fiery time. And something that I was just thinking about right before we started, when we took our grounding breaths, was sometimes to be a positive head, you have to let yourself be a negative head for a minute.
It's true. You got to get it out.
You need to let yourself feel the fire and feel the rage and the anger and the disappointment and the resentment and all of that. You need to allow yourself to feel the feelings that are coming through so you can clear them to return back to positive head state. And I've definitely been going through that today.
Yes. And speaking of the moon and feelings, no wonder. Full moon, all these feelings bubbling up and very fiery in this Leo time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't been sleeping well either. And I've been feeling a little off, and my brain has been just kind of not quite there as much as it normally is, like not as sharp. Definitely been either like losing train of thought or whatever it may be. So definitely an interesting time in the world. And also something I thought about this morning that you just reminded me of is I was thinking about the moon, because I woke up really early and it's a beautiful full moon and the sun wasn't up yet. And so I had this beautiful, like pink, purpley sunrise full moon sky. And I was thinking about the moon and our connection to it, and the feminine connection, the connection to our intuition. And then I thought about how there's been this kind of disclosure movement idea that the moon is not real, right? And then I started to think about all the things that are going on in the world and how we've been distracted and confused and like purposely led astray from our path to our own wisdom. And that's one of those things. That was one of my realizations this morning.
Yeah. So around that, something that's crazy is, and maybe a lot of you listeners know about this, maybe you don't, but the fact that we only have 12 months in the year is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
We are meant to have 13 months. There are 13 moon cycles in a year. However, back in the day, one of the kings decided that he wanted to make it more affordable to pay his workers. So instead of paying them 13 times a year, he decided to pay them 12 times a year and just change the year. He was like, nope, I'm going to just go change a calendar. And that's where our calendar it was erected from, but it's completely off. And although we don't maybe think of the difference it makes, it definitely puts us out of whack with the natural rhythms of Earth, especially as women, where we are naturally supposed to be in alignment and with the rhythms of the moon. But when we're so skewed in our paradigm of time and space, thanks to some dude that just decided he wanted to change things up, it really does mess with us. And like you said, it disconnects us.
Yes. And I think that also was a reason for the Gregorian calendar there was another little thing to take away from our power, to get us off of our natural cycles. So we were less in tune with the earth, and therefore less in tune with our own power.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, when I came off birth control, after I regulated for a little while, and, I went through a period where I wasn't getting my cycle, but after I regulated, I have been regular every single month with the moon.
The moon. Mm-hmm.
Every single month. And most women, when they're eating healthy and getting into nature, they are in cycle with the moon. And it just reminds you, like, okay, yeah, we're not just on Earth. We are of Earth. We are intricately interwoven into the fabric of our reality, which is, this material world of Earth. And we get to remember that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And also, one of the nice little tricks for regulating your menstrual cycle is sitting in the moonlight. Just sitting in the moonlight for like 20 minutes a night. And that itself, that energy will start to regulate your cycle.
Something I've been doing almost every few nights is, I'm staying in Spain right now. And so we're staying up in the hills, walking down to the beach and just putting my feet in the sand, hearing the water, looking up at the moon. And I feel a lot better. I feel at peace.
The ocean will certainly do that for you. And another thing that's tied to the moon is the ocean and the tides. The tides move the way they do because of the moon.
Well, and if the moon is powerful enough to move all of the water in the ocean, what do you think it does to humans, where we're pretty much just walking cucumbers? Like, we are made up of water.
Yeah.
It definitely affects us. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I love the science behind water too, when you really get into it, and all the different forms it can take and how it creates vortexes of energy. And I mean, we're made of this magic. Water has so many magical properties, and that's what we're made of.
Yeah. Yeah. This whole conversation, it really makes you think, like, it's all connected. Mm-hmm. It is all interconnected. And it's all energy. It comes down to that. And so, when we're tapping into that energy of fire, and we're looking at this time being in Leo, it's a very fixed, fiery time. And then we're looking out at the world with all of the political movements that are happening, and the coronavirus, that's whatever it is, it's happening. And just like the polarity and the split and the debates that are happening, there's so much going on, where we're really getting to see so without, so within, and getting to see that mirror as well. Like, how is the outside world a reflection of the inside world? And how am I contributing to this in the collective? And how is the collective contributing to how I'm feeling?
Yeah, absolutely. And you can check in there and you can look and see, well, how am I feeling about my world, about the world that I'm living in every day? And yes, the outside world is a little nutty right now, but personally for me, I'm living life as I always did, totally ignoring all of the craziness that's going on in the world, because I choose my own reality. I choose what I see. And I know that if I go out there, I get to see it from my angle, from my perspective, which is everything is okay. I am protected. We are safe. I, for one, refuse to be afraid. And this is that polarity that we're seeing right now, is extreme fear on one side and a lot of love on the other, right? But that extreme fear seems to be overriding, unfortunately, in a lot of places. And so it's throwing everyone off quite a bit, but we get to decide. We get to decide that we create our own world and it's all within us. And so it's our choice. It's our choice if we're going to be afraid. It's our choice if we're going to listen to all of the rhetoric and the narrative out there. We don't have to listen to it. We can do our own research. We can make up our own minds. We don't have to be afraid. There's really not much to be afraid of when you start looking into it and realize, oh, we're going to be just fine. Why are we so afraid?
Yeah. Yeah. Not that it's going to always be easy, but we're going to be okay. And I love that you said that. And something that I've really been thinking about as well as, well, how did I create this? Like what is this a reflection of for me? And I know I've mentioned this, I think on this podcast or maybe my own podcast, but a year ago when I was sitting in an ayahuasca ceremony, I got to experience essentially Corona. It was the entire planet was corrupted by this virus, and I was corrupted by this virus. And when I came into reality, I was half virus and half light codes. And I got to see that the reflection of the entire world being corrupted by this virus was really just me. And what I had to go through was just acknowledge that there will always be a virus and there will always be the antidote. And it's our jobs to seek the medicine and source the medicine from within in our DNA and to activate those codes, to activate that antivirus and cleanse the virus from within so that it can cleanse from without. And I went through that. And I remember processing with the group afterwards, and they were like, wow, that's really intense. And when this coronavirus thing hit, I said, shit, I saw this. I went through this. I witnessed this. And I feel like for me, this is showing me where I wasn't doing my own work, where I wasn't being my own medicine and taking my own medicine, and how I was outwardly focused and just some of the challenges that I had gone through. It's been fascinating to see, okay, this is like this hyper expanded reality that's going on inside of me that I'm being forced to look at. And
that we're all being forced to look at.
That we all are. And so where inside of you is there a virus? Where inside of you is there deep fear and limiting beliefs and polarity and guilt and shame and pain and resentment and illness and being out of alignment and dis-ease? Because all of us have come into this reality with these viral codes. And this is our opportunity to look into that and say, where do I have a virus inside of me? Mm-hmm. And how can I be my own antivirus to that and clear that within me?
Totally. And I think a good practice for doing that is always telling yourself, I am safe. I am love. I am protected. I am protected because I am love. Every single cell that I'm made up of is made up of love. It can be nothing else. Everything is energy. That energy comes from love. Love is that energy. And so that's all that we are. That magical water, all this water is magical love. Yeah. And so it's really about just deciding and telling ourselves the right stories, right? If we're constantly telling ourselves the story of I'm not safe, and that's a story that's easy to believe right now because we're constantly being told that we're not, but it's BS. We are safe. We are always safe. It's this idea outside that makes us feel that we're not, but we are. In all by ourselves, contained in our own little bubble, we are always safe. Always. Yeah.
That's it. And, when we say things like it's the stories you tell yourself, people say, well, how do the stories I tell myself affect me? Well, because the stories you tell yourself are literally the programs that you are conditioning into yourself. You and your thoughts and your feelings and your actions and your behaviors and your identity all come from programming. And you are continuously reprogramming yourself through these stories. Yeah. And so you want to change your life? Start being very aware of the thoughts that are continuously running in the background or the foreground of your mind. Become aware of them, have compassion for them, clear them by releasing them without judgment, and then choosing new stories. And that's why affirmations can be so powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you have to convince yourself at the beginning to tell yourself a new story. And sometimes that feels like you're lying to yourself. And that's okay. You're not. In the bigger picture, it is true. So tell yourself that. It's just that you might not feel like that right now, but it's important to do that practice. And the more you do it, the more it builds, and then you will believe it. It does
Absolutely
take some practice. These are a practice. There's a reason why they're a practice. This is a journey. This doesn't happen in an instant, just like meditation. No one sits down for the first time in meditation and clears their mind and goes into silence. Doesn't happen. Don't expect it to happen. It's going to take some time. It is a practice. All of this is a practice.
Before we continue on with today's episode, I'd like to take a quick moment to tell you about our sponsor, Curable. Curable is an app that takes a different approach to helping people manage and alleviate their chronic pain. I know it's been hard to watch my own father, who I've always viewed as indestructible, become increasingly limited in his movements due to chronic knee pain and having to deal with the frustration of not knowing how to treat it effectively. Fortunately, modern neuroscience is illuminating more and more how chronic pain develops and worsens. Studies show that the brain and central nervous system play a much more significant role in chronic pain than we once thought, and by retraining the brain to process pain differently, we can reduce symptoms and gain more control. So if you're struggling with chronic pain, the Curable app can help you get your life back by guiding you through science-backed techniques designed to help you overcome fear of movement, symptoms, and never getting better. It also offers strategies that can help retrain your brain's response to pain and in many cases reduce the intensity and frequency of symptoms. Curable offers both a free and paid version of the app. If you use our link to sign up and get started with the free version, you'll get 50% off if you ever decide to upgrade to a subscription. Just go to getcurable.com/positivehead to set up your free account. That's spelled GETCurable.com/positivehead.
That's exactly it. And I like to see it as a hamster on a wheel. Okay. Visualize a hamster running, like just sprinting on this wheel. He's going quickly. For him to just stop and switch directions in an instant isn't really going to happen. What's going to have to happen is he's going to slow down on the wheel. It's going to slow down, going to kind of get to a stop. And then it's going to go in the opposite direction when he starts to run in the opposite direction. And that's kind of the way, in a very simplistic way, that the mind works as well, because it works in energy. So if you're constantly in these negative thought loops, each negative thought loop you have sends a negative thought signal, which creates a negative thought hormone, and your brain is more programmed to be in this negative energy. So it's spinning in a direction. Now, when you implant new stories with a new energy and a new direction, at first it's like, oh, this is going against the energy. It's swimming upstream. But the more you swim upstream and the less you swim downstream with those negative thoughts, all of a sudden the current's going to change. And then you're going to be flying in the opposite direction. And that's where you're like, wow, everything's working out for me. I'm attracting the people I want. I'm attracting the money I want. I'm attracting the life I want, the body I want, everything that I want. And life feels good. How did I even feel bad before? I didn't even realize how bad I felt until I started to feel amazing.
Oh, yeah. I love that point. You don't realize how bad you feel until you start to feel amazing. It's so true. You just don't get it. We can dig ourselves so far into a hole that we take it as, this is just the way it is. This is how it goes. And it's not true. It is so not true. You know the difference once you start doing it. Yeah. And I just want to remind everyone that we are the authors of our stories. We come into this life as our own. We are creators. We are like little gods, little creators of our own life. We write the story. We write it chapter by chapter. We get to decide who the characters are, what roles they play, and we get to learn from our mirrors out there. And when we learn from those mirrors, then we decide what that next chapter looks like based on what we just learned. And so the goal is that the next chapter has stuff that, we learned. And all of these beautiful mirrors are teaching us such beautiful, valuable lessons in order for us to evolve in our soul's journey and to really make some serious advancements. And that's what's happening, I think, right now with coronavirus. It's offering us that opportunity to really see beyond all of the externals and be able to see through all of it that it's all made of love. It's hard when it looks like that. But when you can do it through all of that, then you've really gotten somewhere.
Mm, 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 mm. Yes. Yes. And then that's where, everything's important, right? Like the exercise you do is important. The foods you eat are important. And people don't really get it sometimes when they're out of it. But when you see it all as energy, it's just these reminders, right? These positive inputs so it's like a continuous, you're either contributing to your well-being or you're corroding your well-being. And so when you think of it all as love and all as energy, it's like, what can you use to remind yourself? And that's where we love to eat really healthy foods that are nourishing and that are blessed. We like to drink quality water. We like to get into nature because it's such a reminder. We use our essential oils and our natural medicines. We spend time with loved ones, and we block out the things that are making us sick. So what are those things that are making you sick? For me, watching the news makes me sick. It makes me want to kill somebody. And like literally it boils my blood because of just how just propaganda it is. What else? Well, I know that some foods that hurt my body. I know that chemical products hurt my body. I know that being restricted in a city with noise all the time and not being in nature, that hurts my body. And I'm aware of the things that add to my life and the things that take away from my life. And then I ask, well, how do I want to feel and how do I want to live? And what matches the person I'm becoming? And it's a practice. It's like this daily thing. You don't just decide once and then that's it. It's something you get to do. And that's where these daily practices really do come in. And you get to be that author of your own story and the creator of your own life.
Yeah, absolutely. And one little tip on starting new practices, and the best thing to do is to add a healthy practice in before removing an unhealthy practice. So give yourself a little something before you take something away. Not the other way around.
Yes, absolutely. And there's this book by James Clear called Daily Habits, Atomic Habits. And I just love it because the whole book is on how to build new habits effectively so that you can change your life. And the one thing that he says is when you're wanting to have behavior change, it's not just about focusing on the goal, because that doesn't get you anywhere, or even the processes, because that's not even really enough to get you there. Focusing on the why is important, but the most important thing is changing the way you see yourself. Right? So if you want to quit smoking, well, you're not going to focus on quit smoking, because you keep just telling your brain smoking. You're going to focus on, I am a person that values breathing. I'm a person that is fully healthy. I'm a person that invests that $30 a week in travel. I am a person who respects my lungs. And it's not about not smoking. It's about all of the benefits that you get when you are no longer identifying as a smoker because you don't do that anymore. So it's really, how can you change your identity and the way that you see yourself and talk to yourself about yourself so that you can become who it is that you really want to be?
Yeah. Perspective is everything. And how we think about ourselves and how we talk about ourselves, and that wisdom sits in our throat chakra. And it just so happens that all the significating factors in our lives that create our perceptions sit in our throat chakra as well. And it defines everything else. Our perceptions really do define everything else. It defines how we behave, how we think about the next thing, right? So yeah, we can change those. We change everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then it doesn't have to be hard either. It can be simple. You can go sit outside, get your feet in the grass, take 10 minutes, 5 minutes of deep breathing, and that can change your state. And so no matter where you are in this journey, like Erica said, just start to add in a few little things that you can do that feel helpful for you. And right now, especially with everything that's going on, my highest recommendation is to turn off the news, to get off social media a little bit, and to get back into your body and back into the practices that nourish you rather than things that deplete you and stress you out and make you feel like the world is falling apart.
Yeah, absolutely. I love ignoring the news. It's one way that I create my reality, really, because that fear isn't ever present, constantly in my brain, Yeah. It's a big one. Shut it all out, make your own bubble. It works. And it's okay.
Yeah, I love living in a bubble. It's a beautiful bubble, and it's not a naive bubble. I know what's going on. I'm informed, and I'm actively working to be a part of the solution. Yet I just don't need to consume and stuff my brain and my energy field with toxicity, which I feel the mainstream news is. And so,
which is what's making everyone sick.
Exactly. And so for everybody listening to this podcast, we just love you and we appreciate you tuning in to a different channel and tuning into a different frequency and tuning into the light and the love and the opportunities. And hopefully even when we're in our fire and a little bit grumpy with the way things are, that you still find positive value and get to seek some golden nuggets from our conversations that we so love having.
Yes, hopefully they are helping at least one of you. That's always my goal, just one. And then if there's more, that's wonderful too. But
my goal is always 1,111. I aim high, Erica. So.
Samantha, what's in one is in the whole. You help one and you help the whole.
I know, Erica, you keep dropping your wisdom. Dropping your wisdom bombs all over the place.
That's why it's just one. 1 million starts with one. Oh my God, I'm done. We're going to leave you guys with a song for today. This is Drum Spider, The Mirror. Until next time, we love you all.
Bye.
And if you're feeling the call to come for a week retreat-style Mystic Manor immersion, remember to go now and book your time to speak with me directly about stepping into the optimistic vortex at calendly.com/talk with Brandon while there are still spots left. Otherwise, I look forward to co-creating magic with you at the Mystic Manor.